So this Tuesday, November 8th, actually a few Tuesdays from now, is going to be the most important Tuesday of the next 4 years. And by extension, the most important Tuesday of the last 4 years. The reason being is that Tuesday, November 8th is our national election day, where we elect our local politicians, our national congressmen, and of course the President of the United States. Today we're going to go over a few helpful steps toward preparing to vote. The first thing is, as you see in front of you, if you haven't registered to vote already, we're going to start with that. We're going to work on address changes to change your address to a local Gainesville address. Then we're going to talk about preparing to vote. And then finally, we're going to talk about what to expect on that day. So according to the University of California at Santa Barbara, 54.8% of the country voted for president in the 2012 election. That means that nearly half of the country did absolutely nothing when it came to expressing their opinion for president. It seems when you go on Facebook that everyone has an opinion about president. So you think, wow, so many people complaining. I can't believe that no one votes. This is a sad fact of the American public right now. Out of all the people that care, half of them vote. It is your civic obligation to vote. And every single one of you on November 8th or before it, if you have an absentee ballot, should be casting your opinion, or you don't have anywhere close to the right to complain for the next 4 years. So we're going to start with this voter application you have in front of you. So if you have a pen, please take it out. And we're going to start with these first 7 lines. These are all necessary. If you haven't registered to vote, go ahead and check off the new registration box. And if you are registered to vote, we're going to talk in a second about changing your address to Gainesville if you choose to. The reason I would suggest changing your address to Gainesville is that you can vote for your local politicians here in Gainesville, where you'll be living, for some of you, for the next 4 years. You can change it back at any time, and you can change your address to where you receive mail every single year. So if you live in a dorm now, you can switch it to your off-campus house if you switch. The reason being is that the laws that are going to affect you the most today are going to be the ones that are written here, not the ones that are written at your house that you live in for 2 months. So I would suggest, if you are up for it, you check off the record update change box and you follow along with everybody else. Now, if you don't have a driver's license in front of you, or you don't have a driver's license at all, you can use the last 4 digits of your social security number in that box. Don't worry about if you have questions. We're going to talk about them at the end of my speech if you have something individual. Now, in the next part, that bottom half, we're going to talk about the address of where you live. So I live behind Midtown. That's going to be my address, 1815 Northwest 7th. You're going to put the exact address where you live. If you live in a dorm, I have some address codes that we can talk about at the end of my speech. On the bottom left corner, you're going to see a party affiliation box. If you're not registered with a party already, I strongly encourage that you do so. The reason being is that in Florida, we have a closed primary system, which essentially means, for example, Hillary Clinton, the Democratic candidate for president, was elected in a primary by only people registered with the Democratic Party of Florida. So if you're not registered with the party, you don't get to vote in the primary. If you don't want to register with the party, that's okay too. You'll still be able to vote in the general election. At the end, we're going to sign the bottom of the box. We're going to date it, and I have envelopes and stamps with address labels to send to the Alachua County Supervisor of Elections. So we're going to get this all done in one fell swoop. In 2 weeks or so, you're going to get this. It's a voter card. It's going to have your name, your precinct information, a bunch of numbers, and it's going to have all the information you're going to need going forward. So now that we've registered you to vote, done a process that takes a few minutes but is very important, we're going to talk about preparing to vote. So I've pulled up a slide from isidewith.com, a very important resource when it comes to understanding how your opinions on issues differ from those of the candidates. Here's a sample results page from when the primary was happening of which presidential candidates you align with the most. You're going to be answering questions that'll take about 10 to 15 minutes about domestic, international, environmental, and social issues. And then from there, they're going to match it with the candidate that believes in the same things that you believe. You'll then be able to make a more informed choice. So you won't just be able to say, I voted for this person because, I don't know, one reason. You're going to be able to say, I voted for this person, I voted for that person because he or she aligns with 70, 80, 90% of what I feel is important for the country. So I would also encourage you within the next few weeks before November 8th to consider checking out as many news sources as possible. I feel personally that checking out news is the most important way to identify bias. So people always say there's a media bias. The more that you check out now, the more that you'll be aware of where the slants could be. So the idea here is to consume as much as possible. Read the newspaper, watch TV. I get something called the Skim in my email box every day that sends me political information every single day. That 5 minutes is very important come polling time. Then, because you all registered to vote, you're going to see one of these on November 8th. This is the sample ballot that you'll be seeing. For example, that's the Gainesville ballot. That's a ballot that you would be seeing either by mail, if you request a ballot by mail, or in person if you are voting in Gainesville or you're voting in your hometown or wherever you want to vote. If you live on campus, your voting polling place is going to be the Rights Union, and if you live off campus, your precinct's going to be pretty close to you. Mine's at a Lutheran church near my house. It's about a 2-minute walk. If you work and you have an employer, you are legally obligated to go, you are legally required to have time off to go vote. Polling places are open from 8 to 8 on that Tuesday. And if you're in line before 8 o'clock, they have to let you vote regardless of what time it is. So you can wait in line for 4 hours, they'll still let you vote at midnight. Being from Florida, the most important thing to understand is that our vote sometimes counts more than others. And in conclusion, we have to understand that that's one of the most important parts of today's speech. We're talking here about making an opinion known that goes far beyond the Thanksgiving dinner table that you guys torture yourselves through every single November. This is the November date that matters. Not listening to your crazy uncle or aunt spew some political opinion, but actually casting a vote and doing something about the future of this country. I think it's a shame that because we are in the 18 to 25 age bracket, we are the lowest participating electorate of the entire country. And I think it's time that we change that in 2016. Thank you guys.